Hello everyone, and welcome to this video demonstration of installing the SDK onto a Microsoft computer. So when your account administrator generates an account for you with the SDK, you're going to receive an onboarding email that looks like this. The very first link inside the email is going to be a link where you can set the password associated with your username on Treble. Now the username in this case is always going to be the email address that you received the onboarding email to. And because I've already set my password and logged in, I'm going to proceed directly to this getting started with the Treble SDK. So your first time accessing this, you will be prompted to log in using the password that you just set and the username, which is your email address. But once you're in the portal, you're going to receive this home page. And from this page, you can download your credential file, which is necessary for interacting with the SDK, as well as the installation package, which will allow you to run the package as a Python library. Now, while we're here, we're going to take care of two other minor details. The first one is downloading an example notebook so we can test that everything is working. And the other one is we're going to download Visual Studio Code. Now, Visual Studio Code is not the only way you can interact with the SDK. However, we tend to recommend it because it has a number of useful functionalities which make working with Python a little bit easier. So we're just going to download that installation package there. And we'll go into our downloads folder to see that, yes, all of these 4 files have been created. So first things first, we'll initialize the installation. Okay, so it's finished downloading, and we're going to click Launch and Finish, and that's going to open Visual Studio Code for us, and we'll see the walkthrough guide. Now, at the moment, we don't have a project folder that we can open up, so we will do that next. We're going to open the desktop in a new tab, and here I'm going to create a folder for the projects to live in. Now, you don't have to create it on the desktop. You can save this folder wherever you so choose to, but it's easy for today to do it on the desktop. So now that we have that, we're going to copy the example notebook as well as the installation file into our project on the desktop. And when we go into Visual Studio Code, if we go up to Explorer and click Open Folder and navigate to the desktop, we can select that to be our project folder. So if I click into your first simulation here, Visual Studio Code is going to notice that it is a Python folder, and if you've not used Visual Studio Code with Python before, it's going to prompt you to install the Python extension, and you want to do that. And as we're doing that, we're going to install one other extension, which we can find by going to Select Kernel and selecting Install or Enable the suggested extensions, which is Python as well as Jupyter. So while those are installing in Visual Studio Code, we need to do one more step for initialization, and that is this credential file. So when you're working with the SDK, there's a number of ways that you can use your credential file, but the easiest one is going to be to save it in one of 2 potential locations where the SDK will automatically look to see if it's stored. So we're going to copy that, and the next thing we're going to do is go to users, me, and then app data to create the installation file. So the 2 default locations are either going to be in local or roaming. I'm going to stick it in roaming. And what we do here is we have to create 2 folders. The first one is called Treble, all in lowercase. And then inside that, we create TSDK. And we can copy our credential file here, and the SDK will automatically detect that you have a valid set of credentials to use it. So we go back into Python, or not to Python, into Visual Studio Code. And it looks like our extensions have finished running. So at this point, Visual Studio Code is mostly ready to go, but now we need to check and make sure that Python is installed on our computer. So to do that, we go into Windows PowerShell, and we're going to type Python version. Now, as you can see on this computer, Python is not currently installed. So the simplest way to fix this is to run Python directly in PowerShell, which will take you into the Microsoft Store where you can download the latest version of it. As that's downloading, I'll note that the Treble SDK at the time of this recording supports Python's version 3.10 through 3.13. And we're just going to work with 3.13 today. Okay, now that that is installed, if we run Python version again, we'll see that Python 3.13.3 has been installed, which is great. Now, the following step is entirely optional. You can proceed directly to the installation step of this tutorial if you want. However, I'm going to take the time now to create and activate a virtual environment in Python. This step ensures that if you are working on multiple projects at once, and you need to use various packages depending on your analytical needs, by using virtual environments that are designated for each project, you can avoid any potential conflicts and package dependency issues that might arise out of multiple projects at the same time. So to create a virtual environment, here in the root directory, I'm going to say Python make virtual environment, and I'm going to store that in envs and call it Treble. It's going to think about this for a second. Okay, now that it's finished creating the environment, we can try to activate it by running envs treble scripts activate PowerShell. Now this worked for us directly out of the box, but in some cases, depending on the settings of your Windows PowerShell, you might not be allowed to run this as a script due to security settings. If you run into this issue, go find your local IT person who can help you change the execution policies that are related to PowerShell scripts. But in our case, it worked just fine. We can see here that we now have the name of our virtual environment, Treble, in green to the left of the screen, telling us that it has been activated. So now we can install a couple of useful Python packages. The first one we need is going to be Jupyter, which allows us to interact with the Jupyter notebook that is currently open in Visual Studio Code. And this can take a while, so now is a good opportunity to check some emails or go for a quick walk or take a screen break while it collects and downloads and installs the resources. And we'll know that it's ready because that same green Treble line will appear in the window once the installations are complete. Now that that installation is complete, we need to go to where we have saved the installation file, which in this case is on the desktop under the project folder Treble SDK. Oops. If we look at the files that are contained in here, we can see again our example notebook and the installation file. So now we run pip install and then the file name. This will also take a few minutes. All right, so that was a couple minutes, but the installation is done. So now it's the moment of truth. We're going to go back into Visual Studio Code now and go back to select kernel. We'll choose Python environments. And as you can see, the virtual environment we just created called Treble is now an option, and we want to select that. And we now have the moment of truth. We will try running the first cell in this example notebook. And if everything has gone according to plan, this will take between 30 and 90 seconds to run for the first time. Now, 90 seconds is a long loading time, but rest assured, this initial loading time is much longer the very first time you initialize the SDK within an environment, as it's downloading a few background resources. However, the next time you initialize the SDK inside this virtual environment, it will take a lot less time to initialize than our first go-round. And there we have it. The SDK package is up to date. This means that the SDK has been successfully installed and is fully running. And if you so choose, you can now proceed through the rest of the example notebook. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you run into any issues with the installation, your first point of call should be your company's IT experts. If you or they have any questions, you can find more information, you can find more information on our documentation page. That's docs.treble.tech in the Treble SDK section, where we have up-to-date installation guides and getting started information. If you need any additional support after working with your local experts, you can, of course, reach out to us at the support page, where you can find our email, and we can help you with any more advanced installation questions. So thank you very much, and happy simulating.